Hi guys, my name is Andrea Coetzee, and this is why my life's been different. So my biological father was a drug addict. My mom eventually left him when I was 3 months old, and I saw him on and off growing up until the age of 2, and the last time I saw him was when I was 2 years old. I have no recollection of this at all. The only memories I do have are traumatic memories of, trauma that I had to deal with, of him using around me, believe it or not, as a baby. Um, and yeah, I don't have any good memories about him. Um, and yeah, my mom left him, and I never saw him again when the last time I saw him when I was 2. We did try and make contact, and it just never worked out. But anyways, my mom always told me he was a really good person. He just had really bad habits. So yeah, it was just my mom and I until I was about 4. And then when I was 4 years old, we moved from Johannesburg, South Africa, to East London, South Africa. And around that age as well, my mom and adoptive father met. Um, And then they got married when I was 7 years old, and my dad adopted me at that age too. So that was quite amazing for me because he's really an amazing father, and he's been an awesome example of a father. Um, so, so all the while we had a domestic worker who was named Happiness that helped take care of me. My parents worked a lot. My mom was a lawyer starting up her own practice, and my dad was also very busy. So she became like a second mom to me. I have vivid memories of her teaching me Xhosa, and also she used to read my children's Bible to me. I still have that to this day. And I remember like my parents would read me this Bible on and off, but we were never like big Christians. We never grew up in a big Christian home. Um, and then my parents said that they left the church we were a part of round about, I don't know, when I was 7 or before they got married, because they said that the church members were not happy and approve of them living together and they weren't married. And also they confessed that they were a bit, lazy to go to church. Um, So yeah, ever since I was younger, I thought that God spoke to me. Happiness got sick when before I was 9 years old, before I turned 9. And I knew that her illness was more severe than what people said. I just felt it within me. I could also see that she wasn't herself. And then one night I dreamt that Happiness passed away in her sleep. And I just remember waking up holding my kitty, who was named Purdy. And I was like hugging her so tightly because I thought I was hugging Happiness in my little dream. And my cat was so traumatized, like, what are you doing? And I was just crying. And then not too long after that, we were in the car driving to Cape Town, I think it was. And my mom got a call saying that someone passed away. And suddenly I just started crying and saying it was Happiness. And my cousin that was with me at the time also remembers it like this, And then my dad was like, no, it's not, don't worry. And then my mom came in the car and said she did pass away. So that was very sad for me. I loved Happiness with all my heart. She was another mom to me. But yeah, how I see it is that the day Happiness died, I lost another mom, but I gained another brother, my foster brother. So yeah, I gained my second brother. And then that year, my mom gave birth to my younger brother. And that was one of the most happiest times of my life. I love that child still to this day with all my heart. So life was great for a while. And I was kept back in grade 1 because my birthday is the 27th of December. So, I would be too young for the grade ahead, and then, just a little bit too old for the grade below. So we decided to keep me back. So when I was 13, I got involved in a relationship with a guy that was 16. And I was quite naive at 13. People my age and older will say, like, 13-year-olds were mature, but we were quite naive. The world was smaller. And I got raped, plain and simply. And shortly after that, I started drinking and hanging out with older kids, older girls, older guys. And I believed I was pregnant, even though I wasn't. My little mind just thought, if something like that happens, then you fall pregnant. And my parents found out, and I got, a hard look at life, and we realized I was just on the wrong road. And we decided the best thing to do was for me to go to boarding school. My older cousin was in matric when I went, and it was a German Catholic school. So I went, and it was great in the beginning, and I made a few friends. And then for holidays, I would come home, and I would hang out with not the greatest of friends. Some holidays, I would stay on my cousin's farm. I don't think there were many holidays, but it was just like, the end of grade 7 and the grade 8. And slowly things just went bad from there. At boarding school, I don't know why, but myself and the girls started to not get along in my grade, and I was friends with the older kids again. And I started drinking with them and experimenting with weed and sneaking out, all those mischievous things you do as a kid in boarding school. I also experienced a lot of sex addiction then already. And I started experimenting with cigarettes as well. And I got bullied a lot. I had acne, like really bad acne. The guys would bully me, the girls started bullying me. And one day I just decided to drink almost a whole bottle of Comprils. Now, if you are South African, you know that that is a really strong, painkiller. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget this. Other people might have a different version of this story, but I remember one of the girls that were my friend, and then became, not my friend, came and found me, lying there and like almost lifeless, and she started praying. And I had lost a lot of faith by then. Even though I was in the school, I was trying to understand God and Jesus, and I studied my Bible, but I didn't really understand. And I started vomiting up all these pills, and she carried me to the bathroom while I was vomiting. And by the time they had called the pastor, whose wife was the headmistress, he came and found me okay. And he was like, but Andrea's mom is on the way and she seems fine. And then she explained why, And then at the end of the year, I did decide to go home just because I missed my family. It was like over 1,000 k's from home. I'm probably going to be laughed at because it's probably not that far, but I don't know. I'm really bad with geography. And when I came home in grade 9, I was about 15 now, I started drinking more and going out and partying. And I got into a relationship with an older guy, 2 years older than me. Lovely, lovely human being. He was a full-on Christian and a believer. But we were both young and dumb, and we just didn't understand life really. And my sex addiction was just heightened in that relationship, sadly. And I had a miscarriage at the age of 15, 16. That was tough. Yeah, it still chokes me up. I do have a lot of peace nowadays about it. But I turned my back on God when I didn't really understand what had happened. I was a bit naive, you know, and later on I realized what happened and I just blamed them. And yeah, when I was in grade 10, now I was about 16, 17 to about grade 12, matric, my last year of school, it's all a blur because I was really like drinking and on and off smoking weed and smoking cigarettes, and I was in and out of my house, moving in with other people and living with my cousin, then living with my aunts, and then living with friends. And you know, it really was tough for my family and I, because you know, we didn't really understand what was going on with me and why I was being this way. My little brother grew up, you know, with me in addiction from a young age, probably about the age of 4 or 5. So yeah, when I was in grade 12, I got into another relationship. That relationship just didn't work out very well. In grade 12, we decided to send me to rehab. It's a short program. I think it's like 27 days or something like that in matric. And shortly after I left, I relapsed again. I went to my matric dance against my mom's will with my ex-boyfriend in matric. And she wanted better for me, you know, just because we were toxic for each other in that relationship. And yeah, I relapsed and then I overdosed on mood stabilizers. My parents had to rush me to hospital to get my stomach pumped. One of the worst experiences and most painful experiences I've ever experienced. And I moved in and out with my aunts and other people. And at the age of 18, I got molested by a guy friend and his friend. And I didn't want to tell my parents. I felt so ashamed. I felt like it was my fault because I had relapsed and I was drinking and I wasn't meant to be drinking and out that night. And I dropped out of school for like a week or two, maybe even longer. Went and wrote exams drunk, you know. And eventually I got myself together and I moved in with my family again. And I managed to pass matric. But I was a full-on addict by this time. I got into an abusive relationship with a really abusive guy. And yeah, eventually I did come clean again. And then I moved into my own flat when I matriculated and fell back into addiction, drinking almost every weekend, sometimes weekdays, smoking weed constantly. And then I got into a relationship with a cat addict who also was abusive in many ways, sexually, emotionally, mentally, physically. And I abandoned my flats that my parents got me. I left my jobs. And for about 6-7 months, I was a cat addict. Now, some addicts might be saying that's not a lot of time. If you have used any form of cocaine or cat or anything like that, because it was also switching between cocaine, you know, it doesn't need to take long for you to get hooked and to be full on. By the time my grand saw me for the first time in a while, I was weighing 43 kgs. I now weigh 58. So yeah, I was quite thin. And then I also got involved in a gang who was Freemason. Eventually I left them I plucked up the courage to leave them and just say that I don't want that life. They always followed me and knew where I was in the town. But yeah. And then I just said here that all along I could hear God whispering, saying to me, don't do this. Get on a straight and narrow path. But I kept on rejecting him and just, denying him with my very lips. I got involved in witchcraft and sorcery. I saw a spiritual healer and got involved in Reiki. I had many encounters with demonic activity, a lot of encounters that I can't even describe to you. It's horror film stuff. And Satan, I dated boys that were in and out of weed addiction, ecstasy addiction, drug dealers. Yeah, and I was trying many drugs. I was trying ecstasy, I was trying cocaine on and off. I tried crack once. And then eventually I got sober of alcohol for 3 years, and I got sober of drugs for 2 years, even weed, And then last year I went to Italy for 3 months. I was living at home before that, and things were really going well. But something was missing. I always said something's missing, And then after those 3 months, I didn't use in Italy. I experienced a lot. And as soon as I came back home to East London, South Africa, I relapsed. I was doing my TESOL certificate, and my parents had to force me to get off weed or go onto the streets, and I couldn't do that. I was dating a guy that was also smoking weed, and I had to leave him and just focus on my TESOL certificate. So as soon as I got my TESOL certificate, what did I do? Relapsed. And I just said here, I was always dropping out of studies. I never completed any degree. I started education online and I dropped it. And then my last relapse was the worst. I relapsed on weed first in November last year. Not last year, the year before that. 2019, sorry. Keep forgetting it's 2021. And I almost died. There were a few times where I drove and blanked out and then would wake up still driving. And then I started drinking again. And eventually my parents were looking for houses here in Cape Town, South Africa. And I just didn't want anything to do with them. But I was free to, use their house and use their money and eat their food. And I remember the last day I went drinking with friends. I woke up the next morning to my mom wanting to video call me, and I refused. I was like, no, because I'm drunk. And my cousin came over, and my mom phoned me on the phone, and she was like, we know you're drinking. And of course, the addict in me denied it. So I was like, no, I'm not drinking. And then my cousin came over, and she was like, my family name is Porks. And she was like, Porks, everyone knows you're drinking. And she sat me down, and I still had my friends over, and she said to them, you are shitty friends for allowing her to drink, You're really bad friends to do that. And then my cousin asked me, why did I relapse? And why do I treat my family so badly, but treat everyone else around me really well, Her words were, Porks, you're a good person to those that aren't your family. And I just burst into tears, and I was like, I just feel like nothing. I feel like an atom moving through the air. That's how I felt, like I was nothing. I felt no purpose in life anymore. I felt like I had no reason to live anymore, and I said, I need to find the root, She said, you need to go to rehab. And eventually I did. I went to rehab on the 18th of January 2020, and it was my mom's birthday. And I've been clean ever since. Jesus saved me at Jericho Recovery Center. I met him. I had deliverance of many kinds. Sure, my life now and the strength I have today is unmeasurable. I always knew I had a calling to help people, but I never knew how. I thought it would always be motivational speaking, and at Jericho Recovery Center, I realized it was motivational speaking through preaching. Ever since I gave my life to the Lord, I'm now studying addictions counseling. I can't stop crying. I've been sober for a year and 2 days today exactly. I go to support groups. I am a part of Stellenbosch Baptist Church, and every now and then they let me speak up on stage. I got baptized there with them. And I'm actually hosting a cell group tomorrow for the first time just by chance. I started up my own YouTube channel called The Lord's Child. And I would have never done that in the past. I was always an extrovert when I was high or drunk, but an introvert when it came to actually socializing with people sober and speaking to them. I never had social skills. And now I'm doing a YouTube channel and speaking on a podcast. Like, what are the odds? I never thought I would do this. I want to study social work degree I'm applying this year for next year. And then I'm going to do theology, and I have big dreams to, travel and do my testimony at the recovery center I was at, and also at other recovery centers. And I want to open up my own rehab and plant churches. And tonight I stumbled into life's been different. They followed me and I followed them back, and I just said, I'd love to share my testimony. I saw they do testimonies. And here I am speaking to you. I'm learning to play ukulele. I'm starting to create art again. I stopped creating art for 5-6 years, and I would create it on and off when I was high out of my mind and I'd never know what's going on. I'm starting to sing again and develop my voice. And I'm starting to live. That's what I want you to get from this story, is that I started to understand the love of God and the love of Jesus and have this personal relationship with him where he appears to me in his form that he allows me to see. And he allows me to help people that are battling daily. Addicts, people in abuse, people that are battling with gangsterism, whatever it is. I've experienced quite a lot. That wasn't even in this video now. But Jesus really saved me. He showed me my true potential, and each and every day he shows me. I was so discouraged this beginning of this week on Monday when I celebrated my year of sobriety. And I was like, Jesus, am I doing what you want me to do? Am I doing it wholeheartedly? Is my YouTube channel even a benefit to people? Satan likes to put that doubt in your mind. And for many, many years, 10 years of my life, I was his little pawn that he played every single day on the chessboard. And now I've got the greatest person protecting me, and that's Jesus. He was always there. He was always loving me. I have visions of him when I was in addiction, when I was a child, reaching out to me. And he still gives me visions. He gives me these gifts that I don't truly understand, and I'm still learning. I'm still a baby in Christianity, but my life has never been better since I gave my life to Jesus. And it's been one of the most freeing experiences I've ever experienced. And this is coming from someone that wasn't a believer, that had Christian mentioned here and there and went to church a few times and was like, this isn't for me. God can reach anyone, friends. He can reach anyone. And I hope this helps you. Please go and follow my YouTube channel, The Lord's Child, and I'm also on Instagram. And thank you to this amazing, amazing program that has asked me to speak. Life's been better. Oh, life's been different, sorry. I really am privileged to have met this company, and yeah, I hope they touch you.